Hello, dear students. Welcome to What, Why, How, the daily initiative by IAS Baba, where we take up a daily current affair or an editorial and we try to declutter it in less than 10 minutes. The topic that I've chosen for today is something that has left a huge scar on Indians as a whole. We are now reminiscing the 20th anniversary of the Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. It was on 2004 that this tsunami, it was beginning with an earthquake and later on a tsunami that ensued, ruptured along to the Indian coast and created widespread damage in several parts of not only India and several parts of the globe. So now to look into certain details from the prelims perspective of it, as I told you, this is the 20th year of the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. This tsunami was generated by an earthquake of magnitude 9.1, of which the source of it was somewhere on the Sumatran coast. So you can see over here, Sumatra is the area that is being seen over here, and it is in Sumatra that this earthquake's epicenter was. Thereafter, from the Sumatran coast, it spread on all over to different areas. So, for example, if you look at this map, you can see over here, you have Sumatra region, and here in this area, which is marked in red color, the earthquake which started over here, all of the areas that had marked with being red over here were areas where this earthquake and the continuing tsunami had caused damage. So you can see the distance between the source and the areas that it had caused damage. Primarily, the plates that were in action over here is your Burma plate. You have a Burma microplate over here, and then you also have the Australian plate. It's this rubbing of plates in this area that had primarily caused the 2004 tsunami. Now, to look into some other details, it was one of the third largest earthquake that was recorded in the world since 1900. The earthquake actually moved over to almost, as you know, the earthquake can occur when there are two plates, and then between the plates there is some kind of a subsidence, there is some kind of an overreach sort of a thing. Now, when these plates, using their energy, when they kept on rubbing off, this is where one plate subsides under the other one, and that is what causes an earthquake. Now, this earthquake ripped almost 1,300 kilometers of the plate boundary over here. And the earthquake was felt in Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, Malaysia, Maldives, Myanmar, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. This alone can make us understand how widespread this particular earthquake and tsunami was. In total, it led to the death of almost 2,27,000 people, and almost 1.7 million people lost their homes, their livelihood. Some of them are still unknown, they had gone missing. Now, what this particular topic we are going to discuss in is, see, the tsunami happened, and at this particular point, from the tsunami, there was a lot of lessons to be learned. Now, one of the reasons why we did not have previous kind of research or any kind of expertise regarding the tsunami was because it was the first time that there was a tsunami of this much of a transoceanic reach. Transoceanic reach means it had crossed several oceans and created havoc in different areas. Besides, there was no recorded history of any event of such magnitude in the past. Only we do know that could have been something very helpful in determining what we could have done during the time of the tsunami. Besides, because of these both reasons also, from the research community, there was no anticipation, there was no preparedness with respect to a tsunami. And this is what, in context or in hindsight, the 2004 tsunami, though at that particular point, the researchers and the scientists and the government, none of them did not have any kind of preparedness. Thereafter, the kind of preparedness, the lessons that we have learned from the tsunami are very much in number. One of the first things that we had done is right after the tsunami, sometime in 2007, we set up something called as the Indian Tsunami Early Warning Center. This is actually one of the most, if you take the global level, it's the fifth most advanced tsunami warning systems. Primarily in this warning system, what happens is there's a lot of seismological stations, bottom pressure recorders that primarily mean that in your ocean bed, they would have these detectors. In any case, if there's any pressure variation in the ocean bed, this would detect it and would give us the signs that maybe it has a chance of causing an earthquake. Besides, they have also advanced real-time data for tsunami warning. Within 10 minutes, if at all there is an event of a tsunami or even the slightest chance of a tsunami, all of the Indian Ocean rim countries will start getting a warning message. Besides, this 2004 tsunami became so important because it's after the tsunami that the scientists started understanding that maybe if it has happened in 2004, it could have happened in the past also. Then they started collecting the different evidence of the past tsunamis. For example, it has been said that in some cases in 2004 tsunami, the mangrove area which was there, it was less affected, but the trees did get uprooted. But when the trees got uprooted, underneath the trees, they found even the root systems of trees that could have been maybe destroyed in an earlier tsunami. So this mangrove detection, certain sedimentary deposits on islands, all this proved that maybe the tsunami would have happened even in the past centuries. Besides, this 2004 tsunami also led to researchers understanding that maybe if you have the event of a tsunami, how much water can enter your land? In very technical terms, it's called as inundation limits. How much water can reach to the land and cover the land in water? This is called as an inundation limit. Now, this particular tsunami actually led the researchers to understand which are the inundation limits of certain areas. Now, what is the relevance of inundation limits? So now, if you know a certain part of the land can get under the water if there is a tsunami, you will not allow for any kind of development or you will not allow for any kind of habitation in those areas. Leave development and habitation. One of the most important things that was decided was we will not have any nuclear power plants in the coastlines, because if you do have nuclear power plants in the coastlines, then what is going to happen is, it was seen in Japan in the Fukushima nuclear plant, it can actually damage the nuclear power plant and it can cause damage to the populations nearby. So if someone asks you, the 2004 tsunami had widespread impact, but the long-term impact of it is that we have now improved when it comes to tsunami warning, earthquake prediction, etc. Now, what can be the future? Some of the things that even need to be taken is, even now we are focused on the Indian Ocean region. But there are new problem areas like the Makran coast in the North Arabian Sea and the Myanmar coast in the North Indian Ocean. These areas are relatively overlooked in comparison to the other Indian Ocean regions. Maybe the warning systems that we have set up for the Indian Ocean larger region should be applied to these areas also. Further, we have to get much better at prediction of earthquakes. For example, nowadays there is a new technology that is being tried out that before even a full-fledged earthquake happens, for months and years on together, scientists keep noticing any short surges of pressure that is there on the ocean bed. For example, it has been said that before the 2004 earthquake that led to the tsunami, sometime between 2003 and 2004, there was actually a very small downward ground movement in the South Andaman region. And that it was a very silent, very discrete event, but it was of a magnitude of 6.3. Scientists now believe that this is what would have been a precursor of the later on the earthquake that happened. So now the scientific community and the technology is now focused on better earthquake prediction and better prediction of pressure surges. So I hope the topic that we've discussed as to what the tsunami is, why it is important that we understand the lessons of tsunami, and what are its certain improvements is clear to you. Until we meet again, take care and happy learning.